Have you ever heard a song so beautiful it felt almost dangerous? A melody that pulls you in, making you forget everything else? Today we're diving deep into the wine-dark sea of Greek mythology to uncover the story of the Sirens, the creatures whose enchanting voices spelled doom for ancient sailors. So, who were these mysterious figures? Were they bird women, mermaids, or something else entirely? The truth is, their image has shifted over the centuries. In the earliest tales, like Homer's Odyssey, the Sirens weren't the glamorous mermaids we often picture. They were described as creatures with the bodies of birds and the heads of women, perched on a rocky, flower-filled meadow. This meadow, however, was anything but idyllic. It was littered with the bones of sailors who had been lured to their deaths. Their parentage is just as murky as the waters they inhabited. Some myths claim they were the daughters of Achelous, a river god, and one of the Muses, perhaps Terpsichore, the muse of dance and chorus. This lineage would certainly explain their incredible musical talent. Other stories suggest they were handmaidens of Persephone, the queen of the underworld. When Hades abducted Persephone, her mother, Demeter, gave the Sirens wings to help search for her. When they failed, they were cursed, forever bound to their island. But what made them so deadly? It was their song. It wasn't just a pretty tune. It was pure, irresistible magic. The Sirens' voices promised to reveal profound knowledge and fulfill a listener's deepest desires. For a weary sailor far from home, this was an unbearable temptation. They would hear promises of wisdom, of secrets of the past and future, of a life free from toil and struggle. Compelled by this supernatural allure, they would steer their ships directly into the treacherous rocks surrounding the Sirens' island, leading to shipwrecks and their ultimate demise. The Sirens weren't physically aggressive. They didn't need to be. Their power was entirely in their voice, a weapon of devastating psychological precision. Perhaps the most famous encounter with the Sirens comes from the Odyssey. The hero, Odysseus, known for his cunning, was warned about the Sirens by the sorceress Circe. She gave him a choice: either plug his crew's ears with beeswax so they couldn't hear the song or have them tie him to, the ship's mast allowing him to listen, but preventing him from acting on the deadly impulse. Being the curious and knowledge-seeking hero he was, Odysseus chose the latter. He ordered his men to fill their own ears with wax and to bind them tightly to the mast. He made them swear an oath not to release him, no matter how much he begged or commanded. As they sailed past the island, the Sirens began their song. They called to Odysseus by name, promising him knowledge of all the events of the Trojan War and everything that happens on the fertile earth. The song drove Odysseus to the brink of madness. He struggled against his bonds, his eyes wide with desperate longing, screaming and gesturing for his crew to release him. But his loyal men, deaf to the enchanting melody, only tightened his ropes and rowed on with all their might. Only when they were safely past the island, with the Siren Song fading into the distance, did they finally untie their tormented captain. Odysseus became one of the very few mortals to ever hear the Siren Song and live to tell the tale. But Odysseus wasn't the only hero to outsmart them. In the tale of Jason and the Argonauts, they faced the same peril. As their ship, the Argo, approached the Sirens' island, the legendary musician Orpheus, who was part of the crew, took out his lyre. As the Sirens began their deadly song, Orpheus began to play his own music. His melody was so powerful, so beautiful and divine, that it completely drowned out the Sirens' voices. Most of the Argonauts were captivated by Orpheus' song instead, and they safely rowed past. Only one crew member, Butes, succumbed to the Sirens' call and jumped overboard, but he was saved by the goddess Aphrodite. What happened to the Sirens in the end? An ancient prophecy stated that if any mortal ever heard their song and survived, the Sirens themselves would perish. After both Odysseus and the Argonauts passed them by, the myth says the Sirens, defeated and heartbroken, threw themselves into the sea and were turned into the very rocks that had claimed so many of their victims. Their reign of terror, powered by their beautiful, fatal music, was finally over. Over time, the image of the siren began to transform. The bird woman of ancient Greece slowly evolved into the mermaid-like figure we are more familiar with today. During the medieval period, stories of alluring sea maidens who dragged sailors to their deaths became popular, and the lines between the Greek siren and the folklore mermaid blurred. This version, a beautiful woman with a fish's tail, became the dominant image in art and literature. She represents a different kind of danger, not just the promise of knowledge, but the allure of untamed nature and forbidden romance. Think of Hans Christian Andersen's The Little Mermaid, a story that plays with this idea of a creature caught between two worlds. So, why does the story of the Sirens continue to fascinate us thousands of years later? Because it's a powerful metaphor. The Siren Song represents all the temptations in life that can lead us astray. It's the promise of a shortcut, an easy answer, or a distraction that pulls us off our intended path. It's that voice that whispers sweet nothings, promising fulfillment but leading only to ruin. Odysseus' strategy gives us a blueprint for navigating these challenges. Sometimes, like his crew, we need to plug our ears and ignore the temptation altogether. We avoid the situation, block the distraction, and focus on our goal. Other times, like Odysseus himself, we might need to face the temptation head-on, but with safeguards in place. We rely on our friends, our discipline, and our foresight to keep us tied to the mass of our principles, allowing us to experience and understand the temptation without succumbing to it. From ancient epics to modern movies and company logos, the siren remains a potent symbol of irresistible allure and hidden danger. She reminds us that the most beautiful things can sometimes be the most perilous, and that true strength often lies not in power, but in wisdom and self-control. The next time you feel drawn towards something that seems too good to be true, remember the sailors of old and think about the song of the sirens. What do you think the Siren Song sounded like? And what modern-day siren songs do you think we face? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey into mythology, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive. See you next time!